Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts. A video circulating online of a woman's arrest in Nunavik is causing outrage. Witnesses believe she was suffering from a seizure while she was being dragged by police into custody, though police say they didn't cause her any further injury. Samuel Watt has our top story tonight from Iqaluit, but first a warning, it contains distressing footage.
The sound of sirens piercing the peace in Iqaluit yesterday evening. A 24-year-old woman's car crashed into the side of Paddy Idisituk's house.
When I see the smoke, I was shaking.
He says he saw the police car overtake the woman's car, forcing her to swerve right into his fuel tank by his home. Crowds gathered, watching as the officer pulls the woman out of her car and onto the ground. Witnesses crying out for the officers to ease off.
Don't grab her!
Paddy's mother, Utuki Idisituk, saw it all unfold too.
She is a small woman, and it was just unnecessary how they didn't even try to take precaution, as if they did not care how much they might be hurting her.
Nunavik police say the entire incident started when they received reports of a woman drink driving. They say when officers found the woman, she was driving erratically and fled. They say they arrested her without further injury, and she was checked at the local health clinic. Questions about her condition, the circumstances around the arrest, and the officers involved, all still unanswered. A 2019 VN Commission report into the strained relationship between the Quebec Public Service and Indigenous communities in the province made 142 calls to action. 13 were about police services, only 5 had been acted on as of October last year. Paddy says there were many witnesses, but most, like himself, aren't keen to come forward to police.
I'm not going to make a statement. I believe that's going to go against her.
Samuel Watt, CBC News, Iqaluit.
A global technology outage is affecting Microsoft operating systems and causing massive disruptions for companies and services around the world. It's been tied to a faulty software update by the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. Katie Nicholson has the latest.
A morning of chaos that swept across the globe.
Who is your representative? Who is your manager?
All because of a glitch in a routine software update.
It's quite crowded out there, as you can see. It's very hard to speak to the representatives.
From Bangkok to Berlin to Toronto, scenes of frustrated passengers.
You would think there'd be a backup plan someplace.
In the U.S., normally packed commercial airspace emptied out.
I am so upset right now.
Forcing those on the ground to hunker down and wait. It also hit banks around the world, including TD, which warned clients of delays.
CrowdStrike is aware of reports of crashes.
What all these companies have in common? CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity company.
I want to start with saying we're deeply sorry for the impact that we've caused to customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this, including our companies.
Within hours, its CEO said the problem had been identified as a bug in an update from Microsoft systems. A fix was made available. The effects, though short-lived, were far-reaching. Many healthcare providers across Canada warned of disrupted services and appointments.
And then they're to pay a bill, which is due in a couple of days, and they're telling me the system is down.
And it turns out U.S. Customs is also a CrowdStrike client, resulting in long lines at the border. In the UK, one network bumped off the air. CBC News not immune. Many of our own teams greeted with this frowny face as their computers were fired up. Even the happiest place on earth couldn't escape the bug. Blue screens in Disneyland Paris. As more companies implement the fix, the chaos is subsiding. But questions about how this happened and what needs to be done to make sure something like this doesn't happen again are sure to linger. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
That global outage has also impacted some operations in the north. Some Government of Nunavut employees had their payroll deposits delayed, and the city of Yellowknife also reported some issues. But Overall, the governments of Nunavut and the Northwest Territories, as well as the airlines in the north, say it was business as usual.
The good news is it doesn't appear to have affected our reservation system. So the system that people use to make their reservations, that has been largely unaffected, which is very good for us. So for the most part, we're back up and running for everything that was down, with the exception of our maintenance software, which we're having to do manually. But from a customer standpoint, it should be seamless so far today.
Air Inuit says it's not been affected, while the Northwest company says some of its stores can't process sales, but they're working on a fix. Much of the Northwest Territories is heading into this weekend gripped by a wave of extreme heat. Temperatures are expected to be at or above the 30-degree mark for many communities from Fort Smith all the way up to Fort McPherson. Heat warnings have been in place for much of the week. There is rain or showers in the forecast for some communities, but it comes with the chance of lightning. And the combination of hot temperatures, prevailing dry conditions, and the chance of lightning means the territory's fire danger is extreme. To talk more about what the fire situation could look like over the weekend and beyond, I'm joined by Mike Westwick. He's a fire information officer with the GNWT. Mike, let's start by wrapping up this week. Can you tell me more about what activity we saw and what crews were generally dealing with?
Yeah, so certainly one of our biggest priorities has been getting a handle on those fires not so far away from Little Buffalo River, the Little Buffalo River complex. The team's been braving 30-degree plus heat out there, working to keep these fires from growing further, and they have succeeded to this point. We've been able to pin that thing in place, both of those fires, and we are continuing to make good progress as we move throughout the day. We had some new starts out towards Wati. The nearest fire is ZF027, which is about 21 kilometers to the north of Wati. We have air tankers in the air working to hold that in place, and crews following up. 2 crews, multiple helicopters, air tankers working to hold that in place. Just to the west of that, there is ZF026. Both of those started by lightning. That one's about 50 kilometers away from Wati. Not a threat at this time, but is highly active. It grew very quickly beyond what you could foreseeably do on initial attacks. So we're coming up with a long-term plan to manage to protect values at risk like cabins and the like in the area, and to manage that fire going forward. But all told, a really successful week overall in the face of some really heavy challenges. So well done to the team out there.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. I can imagine how much was going on, and just seeing the social media updates, there were so many new fires all the time. I want to go back to that fire complex near Fort Resolution. You gave us a bit of an update there, but can you talk more about what you're looking at doing this weekend and what the risks may be as we continue to have this hot weather?
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to be continuing to be active in there with about 6 fire crews that are active in the area, working to get around the perimeter, really suppress the fire at its perimeter, work to build a strong edge of extinguished fuel to prevent the growth of these fires forward. They're about halfway around fire SS042. They are all the way around SS040, which is fantastic. Additionally, we have, since the fire is so close to Little Buffalo River, we have a structure protection specialist team at work out there, setting up sprinklers and the like in the case that it does escape containment. As you say, it is hot, dry conditions throughout the weekend, along with some gusty winds at times in the area. So we really want to be covering our bases there. And of course, that team, as they work through the Little Buffalo River area, will also be looking towards Fort Resolution to proactively prepare in the case that we do have some challenges with weather. But all in all, again, the team has done really great work there, and we've managed to pin these fires in place for now.
Are there any other pressure points that you guys are keeping an eye on heading into the weekend and potentially throughout the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of pressure points, one of the biggest pressures that we foresee facing is people being out on the land over the weekend, celebrating a nice, hot, enjoyable summer up in the north, as people do. We really, with the fire danger as it is, the conditions as we expect them to be, if people leave fires behind, if campfires get into the bush, if ATVs are used carelessly or mufflers aren't cleaned out and there's sparks heading out there, that's a really, really high hazard for us right now. And given that people are usually doing those things close to things that people care about, they can really quickly become a big problem, as we unfortunately saw near Fort Good Hope earlier this season. So we really want to challenge residents out there this weekend to make it a person-caused fire-free weekend. As you mentioned, there is some lightning expected in the chance of it over the weekend. So that's a pressure point that we always follow. So we're going to be out chasing those storms, working to catch those fires small and address them as needed.
And just really quickly before I let you go, how are firefighters dealing with the heat as they're working? How are they staying safe?
Yeah, so the message to Fireline staff every single day right now is that, make sure you have lots of water, make sure you take frequent breaks. Supervisors and everybody on the fire line really are encouraged to look out for signs of heat overexertion and exhaustion and act quickly there. It's a really tough job, even on a day where the temperatures aren't above 30 degrees. And you can imagine that that's going to exacerbate things for folks for sure. So as an agency, we just need to say heads up on those considerations. They can impact safety, and that needs to be our first priority at all times.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
That's Mike Westwick, a fire information officer with the GNWT. Now, you are looking at all of the fire bans in place right now. That extreme fire risk prompted a number of bans in the NWT. Near Yellowknife, they're in place for Fred Henne and Yellowknife River territorial parks. Fires are also now banned in all NWT parks in the Decho, so Blackstone, Samba Day Falls, and Fort Simpson territorial parks. Now, there were already fire bans in place for Queen Elizabeth, Little Buffalo Falls, and Hay River territorial parks. Those are still in effect. And a reminder that the Little Buffalo River Crossing Territorial Park near Fort Resolution is closed due to nearby wildfires. Yukon government officials have started calling the failure at the Eagle Gold Mine a catastrophe. As reported by CBC News this week, experts with Nacho Dunn say things are much worse than the territory and company have revealed so far. They call the situation a disaster happening in real time. Yukon Mines Minister John Stryker stopped by our studio in Whitehorse today to talk about the situation.
We may need to step in to complement the work that they're doing, that Victoria Gold is doing, or we may need to step in to supplement the work that Victoria Gold is doing. And the direction that I've given to the department is prepare, please. And that's what they've been doing. And we've dedicated a lot of resource within the department to try and get ready.
That is Yukon Mines Minister John Stryker in our Yukon studio. You can hear that full conversation Monday on Yukon Morning on CBC Radio 1. We'll also have more on Northbeat next week. Salmon have arrived in Teslin, Yukon. They're not on the river though. They traveled by truck. 1,200 pounds of sockeye salmon and 100 pounds of coho were delivered from the Taku River Tlingit fishery. The fish are available for Teslin Tlingit Council citizens to purchase. It's part of a salmon sharing initiative that started several years ago, prompted by the steady and steep decline of the Yukon's Chinook salmon population. Marissa Mayer has the story.
Bellies rumbled and people made plans for supper as they gathered at the Teslin Tlingit Council Lands and Resources parking lot. Citizens were there to collect their fish from Taku Wild, an Atlan fishery. This delivery will feed families for months, and for some, even the whole year.
Well, I think it's just a great thing for the community, and I think, because there's not a lot of fishing in the Yukon, we're really happy as a First Nations company to be able to supply other First Nations with their need for salmon.
The delivery is also bittersweet for Teslin Tlingit members. Over 25 years ago, fishers noticed something wrong in the salmon. The fish arrived later and they were smaller. The elders here say they decided that Teslin would not fish that year, without realizing that this would still be the case more than 2 decades later.
When I was growing up, we had fish all the time in our caches. Would be nothing to see smoke all around Teslin right now. But my son, he's 25 years old now, and he's never got a chance to see the harvest of the salmon, which is really sad.
This annual event serves as a reminder of just how much the decline of salmon has affected the community. Deliveries like these mean there's still salmon to eat, but because people can no longer fish for salmon here, the chief says it leaves a cultural void.
It's been a bit of a heartbreaking story in a sense. Like the salmon that we're going to get today, it comes gutted, comes with no heads. The salmon we used to fish here, we got it whole. We got it with the guts inside. We had the head on. It's something that was a way of life for us that in some ways we only can talk about today in terms of a story to tell.
There are 3 more deliveries to go, and by the end of them, 4,800 pounds of sockeye salmon and 400 pounds of coho will have been delivered. Marissa Mayer, CBC News, Teslin.
Hay River RCMP are asking for the public's help to find a missing man. 41-year-old Tyler Peterson was last in contact with family and friends on July 3rd. Carla Ulrich reports.
Tyler Peterson is described as being 5 foot 7 inches tall and 160 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. He was last wearing a camouflage t-shirt, blue jeans, brown shoes, and a blue baseball hat. Peterson's sister Carla says that Tyler's disappearance has been incredibly hard on the family and that the wait for news has been agonizing. She says Peterson has 4 children who are the greatest joys of his life. Carla is asking for anyone with information to come forward and help bring her brother home. The family is also asking for residents to take a look at their properties and buildings and to look at their security footage for sightings from July 2nd onwards. Hay River RCMP believe there are people in Hay River who know where Tyler is. They want those people and anyone else with information to come forward. You can contact the RCMP directly or call Crime Stoppers. Carla Ulrich, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Does public transit really need more police officers? And so this is it.
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
It is now believed that Titan was destroyed. It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it? All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? How is that even possible? Well, with a little bit of help, I think we can explain it.
About that with Andrew Chang. Watch free on CBC Gem.
When we see Team Canada on the world stage, we're witnessing pure greatness. What we don't see is their struggle. We don't see Maggie McNeil navigating her anxiety, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander getting cut from his high school team, or Ellie Black hearing she's just too old to compete. What we don't see makes us who we are. We're all bravely facing the odds in our lives, and our bravery is our victory.
I'm such a fan of this show.
Listen to the podcast, Q with Tom Power.
The story itself is so unbelievable. The industry wasn't set up for me to thrive in.
The presence I feel now is not something that I believed to be possible in the past.
So many people thought I couldn't do it. They doubted me.
I felt like I ripped my whole heart out.
I didn't realize how formative 25 to 30 would be.
I have to kind of repress my own self-doubt.
You're one of my favorite interviewers, so I was pumped.
Get out of here.
Q with Tom Power. Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is unbelievable.
The heart and soul of any city is best served on a plate. Très bon, merci.
I have some women to tell you about. You don't know them, but you will.
Thank you for choosing Plan B.
Tell me what I need to do to save my family.
Please enter your date of travel.
I can't do this anymore.
If you could go back, change things, would you do it?
Summer is definitely the best time for a road trip in Canada, and these guys are making an epic one. The Sikh motorcyclists from BC rode this week from Abbotsford to Yellowknife. We got a glimpse of them on the show earlier this week. They're now on their way home, but there is more to this trip than the sights and sounds of our vast country. Natalie Pressman explains.
The Sikh Motorcycle Club's 3-day journey from BC ended with a ride around Yellowknife.
This ride is pretty much 5,500 kilometers, 5,000 to 5,500. We ride safely.
The club has driven all across the country, raising awareness about helmet exemptions for turban or dastar-wearing Sikhs. It's something Sikhs have been calling for decades. Some provinces have granted an exemption, but Saskatchewan, the provinces east of Ontario, and the territories have not.
Only few provinces left in Canada where we need a permission so that a person who born in a Sikh religion can ride a bike without helmet
wearing a turban. So that's what's the goal to come here.
The Sikh belief is that nothing should be worn over top of the dastar. And even though riding a motorcycle can be dangerous, the World Sikh Organization of Canada says it should be a personal choice.
This is just another one of those things that we can agree or disagree, but people have the right to make their own choices.
The organization is advocating for accommodations not just for motorcyclists.
A really important thing is the accommodation of the hard hat on work sites. So, I mean, recreational motorcycling is important, and obviously that's something that people are working on. But for us, people who aren't able to work because of the dastar or the turban, that's also very important.
The government of the Northwest Territories says it has no plans to grant helmet exemptions for motorcyclists. But beyond advocacy, the motorcyclists connected with Northerners and some challenging roads.
That's why our stickers say "I survived the Mackenzie Yellowknife Highway," because there are some surprises. People are not used to the frost heaves and the potholes and the bison.
It is really amazing to see people are visiting us, and it's creating a connection.
And thank you from the bottom of Sikh Motorcycle Club.
And the Sikh motorcyclists say those community connections made it worth the long ride. Natalie Pressman, CBC News, Yellowknife.
2 new apartment buildings in downtown Yellowknife hope to provide more people with housing. One of them should welcome its first residents in September, and the other one is expected to open its doors in November. Rowan Fleary has that story.
Finding an affordable place to live in Yellowknife has gotten much harder, and the cost of buying a home or renting one has skyrocketed. We caught up with the founder of Tenants Association Northwest Territories, who says it doesn't seem like things will get better anytime soon.
Considering that Housing NWT has a waiting list of over 400 people looking for housing, I have to say we are very slim on the housing market at the moment.
Thurber was living in the Northwest Territories. Now she's living in Alberta. She says with the rising cost of living here, it made staying impossible, especially on a single income.
I do have one income, but I don't have that second income. It's not just about paying the rent. It's about then now having to pay a utility bill, a power bill, a heating bill, insurance.
Rob Warburton says in order to get more affordable housing in the city, it needs more rental units.
So you need to create more supply and then that over time will create more affordability because there'll be more units available. Right? There's more things to get old, but you'll never have affordable units that are built new. It's just not possible without heavy subsidization from government.
Warburton says if the city wants to find a solution for the growing problem, the city needs to find a way to keep the development process moving. Right now, it can get tied up when people appeal building permits, because if there's an appeal, work gets put at a standstill.
You delay something that costs the developer money because they have the land, they got material, like they've spent the money and are spending the money in real time. So if it gets delayed another 120 days in the appeal process, that costs more money, and ultimately the person that pays that in the end is the renter or the person that buys it.
There are 2 new apartment buildings set to open soon in Yellowknife. Between them, 124 units will be added to the market. Not enough to fix all the problems, according to Thurber. Rowan Fleary, CBC News, Yellowknife.
The GNWT has announced the 2024 recipients of the Anti-Poverty Fund. A total of 49 grants were awarded, and the Lidliquin First Nation is one of the communities getting a piece of the $1.75 million fund.
We receive $35,000 for 2 years, so $70,000 in total. Which will help support our local soup kitchen. A lot of our clientele are the low income or the less fortunate that are in our community, and some of the people that come from the surrounding communities. It's the high cost of living in the north and inflation, and the cost of food has gone up so much that people struggle to put food on the table, even if it's just a single person.
Squirrel says he's thankful for the funding because more residents in Fort Simpson have been using the soup kitchen in recent years. As many as 40 to 50 people come 3 times a week. Squirrel says a bridge that could bring food to the community year-round would also help bring down the cost of food. We have all seen it. You're smack dab in the middle of a beautiful place in nature, and then you see a piece of litter. It's not a nice sight at all. So today, some Yellowknifers took to the water to start cleaning things up. Every year, Team North Scuba aims to rid Back Bay of garbage. For the past couple of years, they've set out to pull 10,000 pounds of garbage from the lake. Major Colin Stockwell found all sorts of items today from his dive.
A lot of tires, mostly. A lot of old wooden debris. And we found a bunch of chains and stuff as well. So we're pulling that out. This site is actually relatively clean.
Team North Scuba started diving in early May, and you might see them in the water picking up debris until the fall.
Going to be a great weekend. Yeah, the sun is shining. The first concert is about to kick off, and yeah, the town is hopping. It's going to be a fantastic time.
A great weekend indeed in many northern communities, including Dawson, where the 46th annual Dawson City Music Festival is underway. The town will be taken over by musicians and performers for the next 3 days. It's also shaping up to be a big weekend in Fort Good Hope, NWT. The community was recently evacuated for 3 weeks because of wildfire. Now they're back and they're making up for lost time. They're celebrating 4 holidays over 4 days to make up for what they missed and help the community recover. Today was their Satu Days celebration, and the celebrations will keep going until Monday. Still to come, a fishing derby, a hand games tournament, and more. That is Northbeat. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. In Yellowknife, we're gearing up for a good weekend as well. The annual music festival Folk on the Rocks got started today. Things kicked off this afternoon at Samba K Civic Plaza, and that is where we'll leave you tonight. Have a great weekend.
I'm a sucker for your face. What would you do if I followed you? What would you do if I followed? So it's time somebody got hold on you. Yeah, it's time somebody got hold on you. It's time somebody got hold on you. It happened to you.